And I do like that first paragraph up there, I have to admit. As many of you know, I was a proponent and supporter of the vision for this community, and I won't belabor that issue. The thing I want to share with you today, and this is going to be very brief, doesn't need to be long, is that it's going to be critically important that you remain involved in this organization and in this community. There are 750,000 people expected to move into this region over the next 10 years. That is going to put a great deal of pressure on this area because it's an extraordinarily convenient area to downtown Portland. You need to be aware of that. You need to be involved. We were very fortunate that the previous Metro chair reached out to us and asked us to if we could work together and figure out a way to come up with a memorandum of agreement that would help meet some of the needs of your community while meeting the demands that are placed on the Metro councilors. So I give Tom Hughes a lot of credit for reaching out. The end result of that outreach was 31 elected officials in this region all signing on to a document that supports your community. Critically important is that you stay involved and make sure that your voice is heard. The most important of the 8 principles in that agreement were that the Hamlet was to be involved in the development of plans going forward, regardless of which city or any city and how it was done. So if you, as I have said to other organizations, if you don't stay involved, instead of it being done, anything being done with you, it will be done to you. Or as Rich said earlier to me, if you ain't at the table, you're on the menu. So please stay involved. This organization is probably the most critical organization to making sure that the vision that you have for your community has a chance of success. Know that I support what you want to do, and I do happen to like local food. Interesting concept. I do eat, like most of the rest of you. So stay involved. Be aware of the pressures that are coming. If you're not involved, it doesn't get done with you, it gets done to you. And I'll leave it at that.
Quick comments from the politicians. That's a way to be introduced. Hi, y'all. My name's Christine. I represent you on Metro Council. And just to put it in context, I was driving down here tonight on the phone talking about the housing needs and the housing demands our region is facing, because we all know it. That, however, doesn't take away from the work that Metro has traditionally always done on preserving our urban growth so that we're building in and up and not out. We did pass, with many folks in this room's help, a measure investing in our parks. And so next steps on our parks investments will be rolling out throughout the year. That's everything from local share, where our local communities that manage parks are able to benefit from that parks measure, but also direct investments, particularly in some of the most fragile ecosystems and riparian areas, including one right just around here. So very much interested to see how we can make sure that there is synergy as we implement our parks bond. But yeah, I could go on and on about the work that we're doing, engaging around transportation, moving towards a November measure. But I'm not going to hijack this meeting to that end. But I do know that we have to get this region moving. It's the reason I ran for office, and it's one of the big infrastructure concerns of this community, as so many folks are cutting through. From 205 as it's backed up. They go through Willamette Falls Drive in my direction, right in my neighborhood. They come through here. So definitely need to make sure that we have regional infrastructure that can support everybody getting where they need to go on the appropriate road.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. I'm Representative Rachel Prusak, and I am happy to be here, mostly learning from all of you. I as often as possible, meet with a lot of people on the board of Stafford Hamlet to really talk about preserving the area. There was a vote, I'll bring up similar stuff that was brought up, housing and transportation. And in Salem, we voted on a few housing measures, and one of the things that I continued to advocate for was the same thing of where we can build, we build, and where we need to protect, we can protect. And so there was a bill to preserve farmland. It unfortunately didn't pass, but it's something that I want to continue working on. But more importantly, the thing that I'm going to work against is there are a lot of people in the state that want to completely do away with the urban reserve boundaries and making sure they can just build anywhere. And so not only is making sure that we have farmland important for areas like the Hamlet and what the community has decided they want, but it's also really important for one of the simpler things we can do for protecting our environment and climate change is really keeping things as is with protecting our land. And so that's one of the things that I speak to. So I will continue to advocate for this and also against those that are trying to change that. It was brought forth, it could have potentially been brought forth in the short session, but it wasn't. But I do see it as something in 2021 being a big thing. And then as far as transportation, another thing that I was advocating for, and some people in this room know about, is making sure we had funding for the Abernathy Bridge, because right now the plan that Salem told ODOT to do was to toll the bridge to pay for the bridge. And I went up against a lot of people in Salem that had passed the original bill saying that all of the money goes towards the Rose Quarter, none of the money goes to the Abernathy and the 205, and really fought for that and will continue to advocate for that. And you all will probably hear from ODOT, so keep an eye out for it, which is these postcards that are going to ask you your views and your thoughts. And I think they're not expecting to get many back, but I think the more they hear from us how much we're against that plan, that it's not just me going up against the current plan to toll, but it's all of us as a community, because when they made that that be part of the plan, nobody on that committee lives in this area. Nobody understands how we use the roads and the bridge. So thank you for the opportunity to share those two things, and I look forward to talking to anyone that has questions about them moving forward. Thank you.
Rob, Valerie, Paul, would you like to give everybody a fair chance here?
Well, I didn't plan on speaking, but I just want to build on what Representative Prusak had spoke to and Councilor Lewis. Transportation. As Councilor Lewis, I have a lot of confidence in Councilor Lewis, and I know that there's some different opinions on the council, Metro Council, and I'll kind of again build off of what we got going on. And I've mentioned. Pardon? Oh, sure, I'm sorry. Paul Savas, one of the county commissioners, been a county commissioner for 9 years, and I start attending these meetings in 2010. So, but I've been not so active here, been busy with some of the urban transportation environments. And so that's what I do. That's my main assignment at the county, or my main wheelhouse is transportation. As Councilor Lewis mentioned, there will be a bond measure on for November with transportation. And however, a lot of it is really not roads. There's not much in the way of, there's not a will by currently or anything in this bond that really builds any new roads. It's a lot of safety improvements, some transit improvements. There's nothing on the interstates other than what Representative Prusak mentioned, which was the HB 27 directive to toll I-205 and develop some monies to build, just to fix that element. But the road, Stafford Road, I held a town hall, maybe some of you remember, at Athey Creek here just a few months ago. The topic there was about the accidents and diversion that's coming off of Stafford Road. I held another town hall, actually 5 all of last year. So that's a big issue. The issue is that there is a anti-road political movement, if you will. And that might favor the Portland area that doesn't really need a lot of roads. They probably want a lot of other things, but that disadvantages us who've never really built our transportation infrastructure. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I'll just kind of end here just really quickly and say, you need to start attending meetings. We need to start advocating for roads, and we need to make sure our elected officials know that, as Ken put it, 750,000 people moving into our area and no new roads. Sorry, that's just not going to work. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Robert Kellogg. I'm a city councilor from Tualatin. I want to be clear, I'm speaking for myself and not for the Tualatin City Council tonight. Our council has had a lot of discussions about the Stafford area. And one of our chief desires with respect to Stafford is not offense, but defense. Our town starts just over the hill, past Rolling Hills Church. If there's development out here, a lot of that traffic is going to head west, right into Tualatin. We don't have the infrastructure to support the traffic. The congestion's already bad enough as it is today. So we share the feeling of, I would guess, everyone in this room that we don't want more traffic, we don't want more congestion. But with development, we've got to find a way to get that traffic moved through here and not into our neighborhoods. So one of the things with respect to the tolling that is very impactful for everybody in this room, there hasn't been any determination yet where those tolling facilities are going to go. Most of the maps that you see, they start at Stafford Road. If the tolling infrastructure is east of Stafford Road, every person that wants to avoid that toll is going to get off at Stafford Road and go east or go north or go west. And so when you have that opportunity to talk to people at ODOT and Metro doing congestion pricing study, tell them, you know, if you agree with it, we don't want all of that traffic diverted into our neighborhoods and into our cities. It's just simply not fair. One other aspect that I wanted to talk about was the development and the density of that development. The topography of the entire Stafford Basin area almost demands that the densest development be in the Borland area. There are topography challenges to the north, riparian areas, all sorts of things. So when you think about that development happening in Borland, you've got to think, how do we get the traffic circulated in and out? And we've been in preliminary conversations with folks at ODOT saying, we'd like to get an on-ramp and an off-ramp somewhere around Prosperity Parkway so that all of that traffic doesn't filter directly into our town and then gets bottlenecked with everything else going to I-5. So ultimately what I want to tell you right now is that the cities haven't even begun to plan anything. We are at the very beginning phases. And so there's an opportunity for all of you to shape this process as we go forward. And if you have any time, any questions or comments, then all of the elected officials in this room are open ears. Thank you.
Valerie? Then we'll move on, get back on the agenda.
Hi, I'm Valerie Pratt from Tualatin City Council. I'm a fairly new councilor. I was appointed in August, so my main reason for being here tonight is to learn. The Hamlet people were so kind as to invite us out and talk to us about their vision, their previous vision, which, I'm learning so much that we really have issues of we have a growth, we need to have more housing in the next years. The reason I wanted to be on council was because I want our planning to be wise for the future and be the best compromise for everybody. And transportation is definitely an important part of this, putting housing in the right places. But I also come from being on the chair of the Parks Committee, so I'm a big fan of making sure we also preserve our green spaces and have those available for people in the future too. Thank you.
So I'll just emphasize that you heard that be involved. So city council meetings are throughout the month. Metro has their meetings when, anyway, Dr. Rachel, send her an email, but be engaged. That's the most important thing. They want, if more they hear from you, the more you can impact, as Rob said.